Hey everybody, and welcome back to Horror Film Lovers. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and this is Mainstream Monday. Uh, with my special guest, John Ward. How you doing, John?
John Ward is good. Thank you.
Good, good. I feel like I might be getting sick. So again, you know,
Again,
remember I just
you were
got,
just sick.
I
Yeah.
was just sick. I'm like,
What's going
oh,
on with that?
uh, it's this time of year, I guess. I don't know. It's usually about this time of year that I get sick, and then it gets worse, obviously later in the fall too. So, yeah, it's just my body. Um, anyway, we're gonna be talking about Saw Foe, number four.
Number four.
And this is the one that was written by the Feast guys, Patrick Melton and Marcus Dunstan. And I read somewhere that they this was their pitch, right? To Lionsgate or whatever. And they didn't know that there was an actual Saul Bible that they were supposed to like sort of follow, but they sort of I guess they went off script a little bit and did their own thing, and it's what the studio approved. And I think it was it was good. Honestly, I liked three better, still. But I was still very intrigued into what was going on in this movie.
For me, it's a bridge to five and I guess six. So
Right. So you know the future of what's to come. So I guess
oh
maybe
yeah. Yeah, if you if you remember in part three, you saw the guy there in your picture. He quickly walks past the camera when we're seeing a flashback of Jill,
yeah,
Jigsaw's wife, and I mentioned in the last video, I'm like, remember that guy? And then in
I
this
totally
one,
forgot.
yeah, that's the thing is that and then in this one, when he pulls the sheet off that big kind of like glass case,
Mhm.
oh yeah, we'll be seeing that again.
Uh,
So it's
I figured that was something that if it didn't if it wasn't in like used later in the movie or whatever, it would be coming back, in another movie. So yeah,
I
it,
think from three on, they pretty much knew what they were doing. They were setting stuff up for each upcoming film that
mhm.
they maybe didn't have 100% idea, but they definitely knew what they were going to be doing.
It's
So,
interesting to have a franchise because, like, most of the time you've got to have like a story Bible, you know, and something where you can say, well, this happened, but this can't happen because this hasn't happened yet, that kind of thing. Especially with the movie that, like this movie, where it kind of goes back and forth, and it kind of gets a little confusing. I'm not gonna lie, especially if I haven't seen the last movie or the last few movies for a bit, like it get a little bit confused, but it's not too confusing that it takes me out of the movie, you
well,
know.
they do show you the flashbacks,
Mm,
and this is only a year after the last one because
hmm
they were doing them yearly. So but yeah, you kind of have to also remember that, which I completely forgot about, that the guy from part three was still roaming around, that
Right.
this took place uh during part three.
During part three and its own part four. So,
Yeah.
um, it so there was a little bit, yeah. So there was a little bit of confusion for me because, and I had to watch this, kind of like Saw 4 explained, thing. And even then, I was still, it was just still too much. There was still too much that happened literally in the movie. I mean, the dude was going scene by scene in 10 minutes, like it was 12 minutes long of a video. and he was going, a couple scenes, and he still said stuff. I was like, shit, I don't I kind of don't remember that because like a lot of else has happened since that, like the beginning of the movie with like like the detectives or something, or the agents, the FBI agents. One of them is played by the Scott Patterson from Gilmore Girls, and when I saw him, I was like, "Aw," I love him in Gilmore Girls, so it was fun to see him play.
It's funny how your reaction is, "Aw," and he's in a Saw movie.
He's in a
Not
Saw
like
movie.
not like he's in, like a romantic comedy type awe.
I don't really want to see him in a romantic comedy, but I would love, but I'm very
But
happy to
that's
see him.
that's the reaction for it though.
Yeah, but I would really
Him
love
being in
to
a
see
Saw movie is more like badass,
bad.
type of thing.
I don't know if
But
it's
then, but
badass,
ah
but
is, oh look, he's in a Hallmark film.
he might be these days. I don't know. But he was wonderful, and this he did a great job in the girl that played Perez. I absolutely adored her in this movie. She was great. I wanted to see more of them, but I'm guessing I do in future movies. Maybe, you're not gonna tell me anything, are you?
I mean, only if you want to know. But I mean, Strom is back. I mean, yeah, he
But he
can
didn't. She
he's
didn't die though, right? Because she got like the stuff like thrown into her or whatever. But I don't think
well,
she died.
I mean, her hand does go limp, and then he lets go of it and walks away.
But I thought they said something
So
about her being at the hospital or something. I don't know. Maybe missed something. But
I don't know. Do you want me to tell you?
did she die? Is my
No.
question. No. Okay, good. All right. That's it. That's all I need to know.
I think it's one of those cases of kind of like Scream with Courtney Cox.
Oh,
Like
right.
is she, like we could say that she died in the next movie if we couldn't get her back or something, or
I
we
don't
could
think
say
that
that
was the
she's
case
alive.
though. I don't think she was like that much of an she wasn't that much of a name, right?
Oh no, no, not name wise, but I think that seemed to be kind of the idea because you know, she could be dead or she may not be dead.
Like if they
So
decided to do that with the story line, is they're like, you
yeah,
know what, we
yeah.
don't want to bring her back. Let's just have her
We'll
killed
say
off.
that she
She
died at
died
the
in the
beginning
hospital.
of Saw 5. We'll say that she died at the hospital.
Yeah.
You know.
I get it. But yeah, man, this story is freaking nuts. Um, so like the beginning of the movie, you see, uh, you see fucking Jigsaw's body being like hacked up to pieces and stuff. Um, yeah, actually, well, I think before then you see two people. No, you see that, see him being hacked up into pieces first. And I thought that was the perfect place for them to do Saw 4, after like they get out everything out of there and everything, and they're like, the game's about to begin, and then they go Saw 4. But they waited to do the Saw 4 after the next scene, which was the two guys like trapped together or whatever, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
indeed, like the mortuary.
yeah. So, yeah, so you see him being sort of his dead body being, and they get the tape recorders. The guy, because Jigsaw ate all the tapes, which I thought was pretty neat to think, but like, I don't remember seeing like, was there like a note or something that said there's tapes in the stomach? Like, how did they know?
They didn't know. They just found it.
But is that what they do when they find a body? Is just hack into it and look through all the stomach for all the stuff for whatever they ate? I guess is that I guess what that happens in the morgue.
It's an autopsy. I mean, you would, especially with somebody like John Kramer, you would probably go in there and not look around for stuff, but just do like what a regular autopsy would. And they said, well, let's look at the stomach, and then when they cut it open, the tape, which has wax all around it, pops up
Uh-huh.
and says "Play me."
Right.
So it's there's stuff with Hoffman that comes up. So it's because if you notice in this one, the the traps weren't exactly made to win. Kind of
Mm-hmm.
like how Carrie gets killed with the butterfly thing that rips her open. Like there was, but that was Amanda being jealous, and
Right.
so they kind of his apprentices move away from doing the, you know, you're a heroin addict, so now you need to save yourself type of stuff to, oh, you, this doesn't have, I'm making this up, but oh, you hit my dog with a car, so we're going to pretend that you can get out of this trap, but you're not.
Really not going to. I get that. Uh, I get that with this movie. There's a lot of that. Um, the characters, especially the main guy, the main guy, whatever his Rig, well, I think I call him the main guy, even though I don't know if he's necessary, but he's the one that's like basically have to play the game. Um, and Rig, who apparently, so all of this could have been probably avoided had he just listened to his wife and went to see her mother or whatever,
Well, yeah, and even Hoffman and some other people who just said to move on, but this guy is, you know, so impulsive. I think that was the whole thing, was he's way too impulsive and he tries to save everybody, and he can't. And if he can make it through, like if he just didn't enter the door at the end, you know, like Hoffman said, you never enter an unidentified door.
Yeah, he said that in the beginning of the movie, and then they flash back to it at the end to kind of remind you. Uh,
Yeah,
because
because
I
even
totally would have
like
forgot that line. I mean, there's so much stuff in this movie that you have to watch it more than once to probably catch everything, in my
oh
mind.
yeah, I'm glad they did the flashback with the guy that was in the hood that was kind of operating everything,
Hmm.
because I completely forgot that was the lawyer at the beginning of the movie. He was the guy with his mouth sewn shut, and I'm just like, oh shit, that's right, that's him. And I've seen this like two or three times, but I haven't watched it in a while. Uh, um, I still don't know what was the point of that trap
Which one?
at the very beginning.
I don't know. That very confused me. Like,
His eye, one guy's eyes are sewed shut, the other guy's mouth is sewed shut. The guy who has his eyes sewed shut just won't stop. Like he's going ballistic, when if he just would have shut up for like a second, you know, and maybe kind of figured stuff out. But the I don't get, they're chained to a machine and their chains are being pulled, I guess, in.
hmm
But what is it supposed to do? Because the guy doesn't die from the machine. The lawyer beats him to death with a
hmm
mallet.
right. I don't
So
know. I don't know
the
either.
trap didn't kill him, but he did get the key, and then he let himself, you know, he unlocked himself and screamed. I guess that's when he ripped open the,
Hmm.
like the stitches. Um, but I didn't get what the point of the trap was.
Beats me. I don't know. You've seen this stuff more than I have, and um, I don't know. There. Let me. You know what? We're gonna Wikipedia this shit because
Well, I got it
sometimes.
right here. So I brought it up for like the budget and everything. Um, okay, so we have autopsy of Jigsaw Killer, wax coated tape. Hoffman is told to, okay, games begins to listen to it. Okay, so inside a mausoleum, a man named Trevor and a lawyer named Art Blank are changed to a large device. Trevor's eyes are sewn shut. Art's mouth has been sewn shut, making communication between them impossible. It's not, if the one guy just would have calmed down. When the device begins pulling them together, they panic. Art kills Trevor to retrieve the key from his
Yeah, it doesn't say
collar.
why. Hold on. Let me see. What's the in Saw in the beginning of Saw 4? Oh, Saw 4. What is what is the purpose of the device? So this is wonderful video footage right now of me purpose of the device. Let me see if they know what device I'm talking about. Um, okay, so in Saw 4, Art Blank builds and sets up traps, including spine cutters to adjust. Wait, Art Blank was the one that got trapped. Okay, so Saw 4, there's a whole Saw Films fandom thing here. Um, Let me see. I want the one. Huh. You do have. Shoot, there's a lot of traps here. The spine cutters. Hoffman's test. Um, bedroom. Where's the morgue one? It doesn't even say. That's so weird. What are spine cutters? Because one, like,
Oh, is that what Art is wearing? Because he takes
yeah,
the hood off and he's got the thing like hooked to his neck or spine,
right. So how
maybe.
did he get that? 'Cause he didn't have that in the beginning of the movie, did he?
No, but you could look at final test to any of them. That could be Art's final test. It could be Riggs' final test.
So
It could
he,
be
okay.
yeah, it could be uh uh not Marky Mark, but it could be
Donnie
Donnie
Wahlberg,
Wahlberg's final test because he says all you have to do is, stay on the ice until the clock runs out.
pretty much, and just
So
hope.
it could be the. I remember that I think it's part five that has the better shots for Hoffman's reveal.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember in this one thinking it wasn't that great, that it should have been more Saw,
Right.
like with John getting up, especially with the music and everything swelling. And so I think it's the beginning of five that has a couple different angles of him, and it's a better reveal because he should have, and this would mostly be for the audience, he should have faked being electrocuted. And then he's dead, and then all of a sudden you hear like the ding 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 ding, as it kind of starts swelling up that music, and then you see him wake up and he stands up and then
Right.
walk,
I
uh
kind of felt like
um
it was sort of, yeah, it was sort of weak, when he just kind of gets off or whatever and walks out and everything. I think he pretty much says thank you to the guy or whatever, to Rig. Um, but he leaves and I was just like, um, I hate to say it, I haven't seen these like if I haven't watched the movies like back to back to back, sort of. And so I hate this that this like like usually this about a year or two later that the movies come out because I would forget about this stuff, like in a heartbeat. And I forgot Donnie Wahlberg, what he looked like, and everything. So I just didn't even know that was Donnie Wahlberg. And that
what did his character do that was so awful for him to just keep being tortured over and over and over again? I mean,
um
I mean, it's just it's
I remember the Saw 2, like he was an asshole to his son, but that was it.
but
Right? Like
they're all assholes. I mean, it's that's why they're in these situations. I mean, was what Donnie Wahlberg's character do worse than the guy who, caused the miscarriage for Jill?
which I loved seeing the backstory of how Jigsaw became Jigsaw, Like I like that. Like I thought that was pretty
I
cool.
don't I don't think they're done. I think it's still good. It still evolves in the next films because originally it's just he has cancer.
He has
Okay.
cancer.
Then it becomes he has cancer and he runs himself off the road and he survives. So then he starts doing the traps for people. Then it becomes cancer, car accident, uh, uh, the death of his child. Then he starts doing all the traps.
Right.
I think it even goes beyond that. I think that they just keep evolving him in a way because he's they figure out a way to get Jigsaw in. I want to say all of these except for like Spiral. I don't think he's in. He's talked about.
He's t okay, so that's the Chris Rock one, and they
Yeah,
probably were trying to get away from let's have the white guy be the killer of the you know what I mean like that like let's let's get away from that. Let's make it this is the Black Saul movie or whatever. In my opinion.
right. Which is where I felt that they got the wrong director for. I think
Mhm.
that they should have gotten a black director. I don't think that they should have brought back a Saw director.
Oh,
I
who would
think that
be who like who's a black horror director? Like you don't really see that many of them.
I
Do
mean,
you?
you could find an unknown, maybe, kind of, do what James Wan does, find a short that you like, and then bring them in. I mean, it's um,
I mean I would love that, but I
I mean,
tried
Spiral
like pick.
is it's fine, but it's just its directing is uninspired because we've seen it before.
Oh, they could have got Jordan Peele.
Well, I was thinking him, but then I was thinking, no, that's too big because this is a Chris Rock thing.
Yeah, Chris Rock wouldn't like his name being, overshadowed. Even though Chris Rock could have directed it himself, if he
I mean,
had if this
that would have been interesting. So it's in some cases, I will say that maybe you do need a particular actor or director for a film if you're making that type of movie.
right.
That it's yeah, if Jordan Peele is producing a film, you might want to get like Candyman, you would get in this case it was a black female director.
That would have been cool too. I mean,
So
it would have
yeah,
been
that
interesting to see the chick who directed. So I really like the woman who directed Candyman. Did not like her take on what was there was a Marvel movie that she did, I
she did
think.
the fucking Marvels, which was
Oh,
the biggest bomb in
I
Marvel
know, which
history.
sucks, but
She was complete. I would like to see what she does after the Marvels because she was
right.
completely
Well,
out of her depth
and
to do this.
well, because I hate to say it, but especially back then, uh like the Marvels was so studio centric stuff, they barely ever let directors kind of do their own thing and everything like that. And case in point, they did let a director do their own thing, which was the chick that directed the Eternals. And that probably scared them off because that was one of the biggest bombs. And the studio was like, "Oh, we're not
Three
letting that happen
hours of
again."
pure boredom.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're not
they.
letting that happen again. So then they became more hands-on again, and it became more like, let's have, not just, Captain Marvel, but Ms. Marvel and, everybody else, and it became too much. Like there was too much going on. And I think that movie would have been great if it were a Miss Marvel movie because everybody in the world thought she was hilarious in the movie, but they just didn't like the movie, the rest of the movie, because the rest of the movie was just bad. But like all of Ms. Marvel stuff was funny, was comedy and enjoyable, in my opinion. And I think a few other people really liked it, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. From what I understand, is they had to hire an action director for the Marvels because she couldn't do it. That there were a lot of problems, but yet her version of Candyman is my favorite Candyman.
Yeah,
I
she
like
would
it
be a
better
great,
than the Tony Todd ones.
I think
So
she would. Now, I didn't, but I need to rewatch it. I think I was not in a good like state of mind necessarily. And Candyman 1 is probably like the first original Candyman is probably one of my favorite horror films. It's up there. I just really, really love that movie. So I think I might have been, kind of treating it a little harshly because it's, one of those movies that was just like, I like in a way I didn't want it to even be remade, but kind of glad it got remade because it needs sort of a
Well, it's
boost.
yeah, it's a requel. I mean, it's I mean, Tony Todd's Candyman is in the movie.
And Vanessa
So,
Williams, who I've met, I think that's her name, Vanessa Williams, the chick from part one that comes back. She's like the neighbor or whatever chick, the girl, but she was in Melrose Place and she was kicked off the first season of Melrose Place. Sadly, because honestly, I think it's because she was the only black girl in it, and they just didn't have anything to do with her, didn't know what to do with her.
no, they
Yeah.
eventually got rid of almost everybody and then turned it into a giant soap opera, just like they did with
Well,
Beverly Hills 90210. Once
it was a
Tiffany Amber Thiessen got on board, then it became a thousand times better.
right. It was totally like it was a soap opera. It was soapy. Um, but I actually liked it, especially when characters die and then they come back to life somehow.
That's a soap opera.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly what happened to Kimberly. So anyway, I like Melrose Place a lot. But
I used
and
to watch it.
yeah, I mean
Well,
it's
so I wanted to ask you to get back to this film. Do you feel sorry because now you've seen four of them? Do you feel sorry for the people that are in the traps?
well,
Like the guy in your picture there. Do you feel sorry for him? Do you feel that they deserve what they're getting?
not really. I mean, I don't think anybody deserves torture, especially as you said before, there's some ones that are like unwinnable, like ones torture devices where they are just there to be murdered anyway.
Well,
Like,
that's later, and the people, the apprentices. Those are the ones who come after
but like,
Jigsaw.
okay, so
They're just used for revenge.
look at part three, the one we just watched. The dude was on basically doing all the tests because he had that vengeance in him and he wouldn't let that go. And basically, I guess that became his crime, is he won't let go of his vengeance and everything. I don't like who is Jigsaw to tell people how to live their life? Like, why is he manipulating people's lives to make them do bad things when they normally wouldn't do these bad things, you know?
Well, I mean, like in part three, the guy hits the kid with the car, and then you
Right.
have the woman who sees it and just leaves. You have the judge that gives the guy who hit the kid like what was it like 6 months or whatever it was for murder. Uh, um, and so the guy was there more judge girl
There's one more, I think.
guy who hit him. So the judge had all the pig crap. The girl was frozen.
Who was the other guy? There was one guy because he said they had to go into the thing and get the key or whatever. And I think there was one other person because there was the girl, there was the judge, and he saves the judge. The judge is fine, but then he has to go in and grab it, and then the gun goes off and shoots the the guy the
Well,
judge.
that's the guy who hit the kid with the car.
So
Remember,
okay,
he's
so
getting
so
all
then that's it.
twisted, and then has that long glass thing, and the gun is inside.
Right.
So he thinks he's doing the smart thing by leaning over this way and pulling on. He's like, I got it. And that's when he blows the judge away
Hmm.
by mistake. And then
So,
the guy who
but yeah,
hits
that's right
him.
because it was only that guy because it was only those three people that he had to deal with because the the guy, because the judge is telling him, you can't let this guy die. You'll be a killer and all this other shit. So it was that. So he had to figure out how to stop this guy from dying or whatever. And then at the end, he has to basically not kill, he has to just let it all go at the end, and which is a very big part of this movie too, is let it go, like they kind of tell the rig, just let it go, just let you can't save everybody. That's what they say.
Well, and now, did you, before the reveal, did you know that Hoffman was part of this?
No, no. I think I might have read that. I mean, well, I saw that Hoffman was in the movie, and I knew that Costas was Costas Mandalore, who I've met, by the way. I met him once at a we were in an elevator at a horror convention together, and we were just chit-chatting, you know.
Oh, that's cool.
And then later I came to his table and he gave me a free he let me have a free picture with him, like not autograph, but like took a picture with me for free because we
It
bonded over
di-
the
it
thing.
didn't cost you $400 or $600
You
or
saw my post. You
$800.
saw my Mark Hamill post. That's funny. Um, yeah, so many people were, oh man, people were getting on it,
It's
at each other
ridiculous.
about it. I'm like, I don't, like, literally, I get it. Whatever, pay whatever you like, charge whatever you want, Mark Hamill, because if people are gonna pay it, people are gonna pay it. If people don't pay it, then, whatever, you're not gonna get that, you're not, it's one of those things of like, you know, and I noticed that like managers for actors won't weigh in, and stuff on that kind of discussion because the idea is you want your client to be happy, right? So if your client says, I need $400 for an autograph, you're not going to go, well, that's too much. You shouldn't, right? If they really think that they deserve that, they're worth that.
Well, he thinks he does these days. Also, he's being very political,
Yeah,
which
he's getting a
is
lot of angry people. I mean, people
that's
angry about his personal
it's
political opinions.
he really needs to shut up about that because he's going to lose about 50% of his fans, and it's going to be Ghostbusters 2016 all over again.
Well,
And
it's like Rachel Zegler going, free Palestine, in a
well,
tweet that
that
had
that
nothing
that
to
was
do
a
with it.
fuck you to Wonder Woman. You
Well,
know,
if it was or wasn't, which I don't know if it necessarily was, it became
a
one.
lot a lot of people are saying it is
Right.
because everybody keeps saying, the mirror was wrong. The wicked, the, I don't know, wicked witch or whatever you want to call her,
The
is
queen,
the
the
queen
evil
is
queen.
better looking than Snow White, which is true. She is better
Yeah,
looking.
but it's funny because in Snow White itself, yeah, Snow White was prettier than the queen, right? In real life, and the cartoon, or whatever, not real life, but the cartoon. And then in the live action movie, yes, Gal Gadot. You don't cast Gal Gadot and then say she's not pretty. Like she's gorgeous.
Yeah,
She's an
so
Amazon.
Rachel, is young and stupid and full of it, and she's probably never been told no her whole life, and she's a narcissist, and immediately,
Mm.
started posting stuff like I'm the fairest one of all, and it's ridiculous. So that's,
Yep.
but but to stay on target, uh, um I don't know. I don't have to go back to, do these people deserve it? I don't have like sympathy for people that are like drug addicts and things. So like the guy who's in your picture, I I wish he would just, in real life, would just overdose, just OD, and just start using our taxpayers' money. So for, and with what he did in the film, and in part five, you find out more. There's a whole thing with that letter, you know, that Hoffman puts in the drawer that Amanda finds.
Hmm.
Um, like I said, I think everything is now planned. I think it's all planned out.
It's all connected
Yeah, and
because there's so
it's
many things that get dropped or get like, and you can't just look at one and be like, oh, whatever. You're gonna eventually look at everything and be like, oh my God, I never noticed that, or I have to look back at this and see
well,
that is
yeah,
very, that's something that you need to see, for future things.
it's why you need to almost watch these twice, maybe three times, because in the scene in your picture, he's supposed to put his face through there, and then when he hits that one, there's that piece that's in front of the blades, and when he hits it, it lets everything go, and he just has the scars then would be on his face, but the
Hmm.
chair breaks, and he races to John, and I think this was a total accident, is that he falls in all that kind of like barbed wire,
Hmm.
which would have been from part one because
Right.
he hasn't started doing his stuff yet. He's only That's why he's watching him. He's like, okay, well, what does this trap do? What does this test do? Let's see what it does. When normally he's in another room and Billy pops up and there's the recording. This is all before part one.
Right.
So that barbed wire was used for the guy who was trying to get from one end to the other.
Hmm.
And of course, John doesn't help him get out of it, which was the test to see if somebody could get out of the barbed wire or not. So
Yeah.
that's why I think these are, as complicated as they are very well written and
Y-
and very well thought out.
Yeah, which, has to be the thing because you're talking about sort of once again it's a franchise, right? So it's not like the typical like horror franchise like take a look at what is it, Friday the 13th, right? Where it's just one story and then another story and then maybe maybe a character like what is it, Tommy Jarvis, will be in more than one movie, but like and sort of connected, but like really most of those aren't connected, you know. They
Oh,
are
I would definitely say that they're not connected, and they're probably thought of when they decide to make them.
right.
Because
And
like the stuff between Friday 2 and Friday 3, and when the lead actress says that Jason, raped her basically out in the woods, which I don't think Jason would ever do, but um, the timeline doesn't match.
right.
There's been a lot of discussion about that it doesn't make sense. So I don't think any of that in this, unless they started from like the writing of part 3, right? They get the two's a massive hit. So then we're going to make part 3. The guy who's in your picture, all he does is walk by the camera. That's it. And now he's a major part of part 4.
And that's so funny though. Like, hey, can we get you in part three for like 1 second? And then, we're gonna have a bigger part for you in the next one. I mean, like, oh,
Yeah, I mean, unless they just liked him as an actor and
he was just an
they
extra and they're like, hey,
yeah, and
let's make
and they're
this.
like, this would be perfect for the next one. Let's
Hey,
use that guy.
you're a star now, sir.
But the camera focuses right on him, right? It's the POV of John with his wife, and she
Hmm.
goes up onto the tree, and he looks at the guy who's walking by, and then it goes over to Jill. So they purposely wanted to get him walking,
That's crazy.
and so now here he is, and that's why, yeah, I don't think any of this stuff I would love to see if somebody could put together, and they might have to shoot some additional scenes, if they could just do one long, like 10-hour movie or something, and just put all of this in chronological order, I
That
think
would
would be
be
great.
that would be a little crazy, but it'd be cool.
I would watch that. They've done timelines, on YouTube. You can watch a timeline, but
Hmm.
it's not the footage. They'll take like a still or something and put it up.
Ah.
But I want to see somebody take the actual movies and re-edit them into just one long film.
All right, that'd be pretty cool. I don't know. It'd be fun to see a like, yeah, James Wan get on that. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know. I'd like that. I,
And would Rig have been an apprentice? Because they do mention that he's like that he's like in training to be an apprentice
for Jigsaw,
for Jigsaw. Yeah.
uh, wh- he didn't want any of that, you know, like he didn't want to be his I guess his thing was he was trying to stop all these things. Like when they saw Carrie and they found her dead, you know, and everything in the beginning of the movie, you know, he wanted like he just wanted to he got so upset because he can't save any of these people. You know, like that was his only,
Yeah,
you
but
know,
with the fat guy who was like torturing and recording these young girls,
hmm.
it is he made the guy get onto the bed. He made the guy get shackled. He made the guy start the
Well,
device.
so yeah, that's true. Because like he he start you can sort of tell at one point because like most of the time he was trying to save the people like the girl that in the beginning of the movie that's getting her hair pulled and everything and it's just like scalping her hair and she's like you know, and he
Yeah.
finally gets her out and then she attacks him, you know, and everything because that was her part of her, you know, game, you know, and if he had just let her, because even Jigsaw said, just let her go, you know, she deserves to die, you know, but if you help save her, you know, stuff will happen to you, something will happen, you know, whatever, right? So he kind of lets, lets the girl go, the girl tries to kill her, and then he kills the girl in order to save himself. And he wouldn't have had to do that had he just let it go. Or even, you know, that one guy wouldn't have died, the fat guy wouldn't have died had he just let that guy go, right? But he can't. He can't let that guy go because he's murdered, you know, and sexually assaulted and did all these terrible things to this poor, you know, this these poor people. And, you know, I'm wondering where it happened. It looked like it might even happen at that hotel, you know, so he might have used that hotel to do these terrible things to people. Mhm.
Uh, yeah, I gotta tell you, I do get tired of seeing the really overweight, sweaty, bald guy be a molester or a rapist
Have you been
or an
asked
insulter.
have you been asked to do this yet?
No, but they seem to
It's a
like
stereotype.
yeah, that even in because I've watched Child's Play, the remake, speaking of Mark Hamill, and, and the guy who kidnaps Chucky, I forgot that they named it Chucky. I thought they named it something else. That even made me more mad. Uh, um, when he finds Chucky in the hamper because they throw him down the
Well,
garbage
he
chute.
was called something else, but then he said, but just call me Chucky. And that
Yeah,
pissed me off even more because his name wasn't like Charles Lee Ray. They couldn't do a lot of that stuff, but they could still somehow call him Chucky. And I was like, I thought that was like, I thought that would have been a thing. Like, no, because we're already doing Chucky stuff.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think that I think it was like Chucky with an eye because everything was supposed to be like an iPad, an eye.
Yeah.
I think,
I Chuck.
but the guy who takes him out of like that trash bin, the janitor maintenance guy, fat, balding, sweaty, always, he's got the cameras all set
Kind of
up in the
creepy,
apartments.
creepy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like, can we please, not everybody fat is Victor Salva. It's
Yeah.
just it's as I'm sure someone thin with a full set of hair has done these things.
Hmm.
You know, look at Ted Bundy. So
Look
but
at
that's who
Jeffrey
they,
Dahmer.
yeah, full set of hair and a decent looking guy. So I don't know. I get kind of it's I've brought this up on our other videos where I'm just like, wow, I'm so happy in this video that the guy didn't that the guy wasn't creepy, or the guy
Mhm.
wasn't hitting on her, or the guy didn't assault her, or because
And in this
it's
one, it did.
yeah. So we did, and he got what he, I think what he deserved. So it's
I mean,
but I
okay,
don't think
so
there
to
was
go
any
to
way of
go
getting
back
out of that either.
to go back to what you were saying about the guy, with the knives to his face or whatever, the junkie,
Yeah.
and did you think like, and you thought he just should have been OD'd, right? He should have just OD'd instead. Is Why do you think this guy deserves like these terrible, like I think all his body got chopped off or whatever by the end of it, you know?
Yeah, I think originally it was just meant to be his eyes because it's supposed to kind of match the crime.
Right.
So, he does the videos to watch them. So, and then yeah, then it started pulling. That's why we find with like with like Amanda and later on that the devices are used more for revenge than they are to teach someone a lesson.
Well, do you think it's because Jigsaw's not doing them now? It's
Yeah,
somebody else.
yeah, it's a. I'm trying not to say too much, but
Because it,
it's
it probably explains it in another video, right? Or another movie.
yeah. There's stuff that's brought up in part five,
Yeah. So
but
it sucks because
when
I'm
you
like
get to
so confused as to like
well,
who's doing all this stuff, you
but
know?
part six is one where it's all about the healthcare system. And that's still my favorite one. And it's all about the insurance people. It's all
Hmm.
about, if you have cancer being denied, and then that person who denies you is then put into a trap. So it's my favorite one where the traps do kind of justify what's going on.
Hmm.
Because, if somebody could just sit behind a desk and write, just stamp denied, and then a person dies of cancer when they could have survived, yeah, I think that you probably deserve to be put into a trap.
I don't think so.
I
Like,
do.
I mean, okay.
Absolutely.
Well,
Remember, I'm the guy who literally has a list if the purge happens. I have
well,
a list
well,
of
I'm
you know,
here's my disagreement with it is because are you saying that the people who denies the people, which they are told to deny the people, are the ones who deserve to be in the trap, or do you think the people that are told, or who are the people who tell these people, their bosses, who say, you should deny, the health claim people,
all
the
around. All
but
around. You
so you
work for you okay, so you have the mob boss, you then
right,
have the bosses from there, you then have the soldiers from there. Are any of them not guilty?
but are they really soldiers? They're just doing their job.
They took a job knowing that they are going to make money, and this is in real life, knowing that they're going to make money off of other people's deaths if they deny them. If you save the insurance company money, you're going to be rewarded even if someone dies from it.
Okay, so let me ask you something. How about the lawyer who tells the widower of somebody who, whatever, that there's a clause in the contract that said because Disney Plus doesn't allow, or that you can't sue Disney Plus, does that person deserve to be in a trap?
I probably the lawyers, sure. Yeah, because the lawyers are the ones that are trying to figure a way out of this
That's what I'm saying,
guy.
because that's the way that you were saying it with those people is like,
Yeah, and by the way, they dropped Disney dropped it because they got such bad backlash
oh yeah,
off of
nobody, I
that.
mean, people would probably, I was this close to like canceling Disney Plus. I did not, but I don't really have any plans to sue them anytime soon. I mean, I don't, uh,
I think if you're in a situation where you're making money off of someone else's death, that's a problem. If I work at a market that sells cigarettes and I
Right.
sell cigarettes to somebody and they get cancer and die, I don't think that I should be put into a trap, because that market sells a lot of different stuff, and there's a warning on the side of the packet. And even though I dislike the tobacco companies, it is a business and nobody has to smoke. They could go out of business. Same thing with the McDonald's. You don't have to eat McDonald's. You don't have to be 500 pounds. You could just stop eating and then they will go out of business. So, in a way, that is a death of its own.
Well,
But I think somebody like in your picture there, I think they do deserve the trap, and they actually got two traps, and he probably died in that one.
so so for me, I have a different opinion on addicts because I am one. I'm an addict. I'm a recovering addict, but I'm still an addict. Like if I did, a drug tomorrow, it I would be hooked on it like in a second. Like it's just my nature. I binge watch TV shows and whatnot like religiously. Like I can't I'm an addict, there binge watching TV shows is a lot healthier than, you know, doing drugs or alcohol, which is really my vice. But
But
it
there's a difference. Alcohol, there is a difference.
well no, but
Alcohol is there's a chemical within a person's brain that does not work well with alcohol. Nobody says you have to put a needle in your arm. Nobody says that you have to smoke crack pipe. Nobody, you only get addicted by doing that yourself. But alcohol is
usually by peer
different.
pressure, by somebody saying you should do this because this will make you feel better.
And if you're weak enough to give in to peer pressure, then oh
Well,
well.
when you were young, most people get addicted to, you know, bad
I
drugs
did
when they're like
plenty of drugs
14,
when I was younger and in my teens and my 20s, and I never got addicted.
usually by
Uh,
peer pressure,
I
probably.
would say a little bit of both, a
So
little
you,
experimentation and peer pressure. I would say food is an addiction for me, which is why I'm fat. But I can't blame McDonald's for that. I blame myself because I don't have to eat at McDonald's, and they put addictive chemicals, ingredients within their food to make you addicted to it. I mean, that's a fact. So it's there. So the guy in your picture, no, I have absolutely no issue with him being a trap or
I just I
whatever.
I just know a lot of I personally know a lot of addicts because a lot of them are in recovery, and some people are handling it better. Some people fall off the wagon and they go back to their life of whatever and I never see them again, or whatever. And sometimes they die from this, from the disease of addiction, which I do really truly believe is a disease. Some people would disagree with me. You'd probably be one of them, but I think it's a mental illness, that like you said, there's a chemical in your brain. I think there's also one for any kind of addiction.
Well,
Mhm.
I tend to think cancer is a disease. So it's disease is used in many ways,
Mhm.
but there are other, somebody could they have a back injury and they're given drugs for the back injury, and then they become addicted to those drugs,
You're
and
right.
then to get off of them they then get addicted to another drug. Well, that's a different thing. You're if, let's say if you're walking through a crosswalk and a car hits you, and or you're somebody get into a car accident, it's not your fault,
Hmm.
and you have neck problems or back problems. There's different degrees of it. My thing of not feeling sorry is for like somebody in your picture who he even says I have no soul. So he's done crimes, he's done stuff. I mean, you know he causes a miscarriage. He's in that
But I mean,
hospital.
that first of all, that was not intentional. He didn't do that. Like he's not
I
like he
don't think
thought.
you could defend him because he went in there to steal. He purposely, most likely, he purposely left his coat to come back afterwards
Hmm.
when she is alone. so then he could rob the place.
Right. And it's a terrible situation, and it sucked the way it happened. I wish that but all of it had to happen, because if it didn't happen, we wouldn't have had John's story, you know. Um
Right, but it's my question is, do you think these people deserve it? Or do you
I
think
still don't. I think
you know
he doesn't
if
deserve torture like that. But then again, he lived through it, you know? So had he just left John alone afterwards and just ran away, and didn't, end up getting into the barbed wire and stuff, he would have survived. He would have ran out, and I don't think John had any other plans for him, you know?
no, because he wasn't expecting the chair to break, which is why it was an experiment. That's why he was watching him to see how it worked.
Right.
And it broke, and then it's just like, oh fuck. But he just happened to have the barbed wire behind him.
Yep.
And he just all he had to do was just take a step to the right, and
Yeah.
the guy
But
flies right into
had the
it.
guy just got out and then just ran away, John would have been like, damn it.
I think he would have caught him. It might be a day or two, but I think he would have found him and probably put him into a different one. Maybe he would
Would
have
have
been the first person in the reverse bear
Do you
trap.
think he would have kept going with them like the
This is
same
the
guy?
guy that caused the death of his kid. He did,
Yeah.
ruined his marriage and all that stuff.
Well, then again, him doing that and then later basically telling the well, I guess, no, never mind, because he kind of he was t kind of telling the guy to just not save the was it the one guy that killed the kid, like he was trying to tell that one dude, if you just let it go, and let the guy die, you
Well,
can go free.
that's what I'm saying. This is almost like a prologue to kind of like the next two movies. Because what did the female FBI agent do to have Billy explode all those pieces in her face, except that
Yeah.
she was investigating what was going on?
Okay, so I guess this gets explained later, but what about Billy? Because, like, him exploding like that means that his face is gone. How does he come back as a normal? Is there like more than one Billy? Or is that literally just now Billy is dead because his face gets
No, because that's still, remember, this is still early. No, because that's there's different Billies.
okay.
I mean, he just makes different Billies. If I think I don't think maybe we have seen it. I forget, but at some point somebody hits Billy and like its face gets crushed.
Right, so there's
He
more than
just
one
makes,
Billy.
yeah. And if you remember, this one is, there's that little Billy, like the little
Yeah.
puppet Billy type of thing, kind of like Elf on a Shelf. This is like Billy on a chainsaw or something,
Hmm.
and so there's different ones, and
I want to see Billy on a Chainsaw, the movie.
Billy on a chainsaw.
Yeah. Billy. Billy.
Billy. Yeah, that's I'm still on this myself with all of them. So
Wait, we got both different ones then? Because I got the one that has it's
you
got
might
Blu I got all the Blu-rays and DVDs, and it's got all the way to Jigsaw.
no, see, yours is better than mine. Mine goes to the final chapter, and they're on, like, parts one and two are on one disc, and then three, four, five are on another disc.
I do have that one as well. I picked that up. Yep, I do. Here it is. So I've got the same one as you. Here, that one.
Yeah.
And this I got from, like, I think Walmart or Best Buy or something back in the day. And then I picked this one up online because it had the one more, and it had all, like, the Blu-rays and DVDs, which I don't watch the DVDs, but whatever. Might as well have it all. Um and Yeah, I love this. I love that they put those out like that, I
Oh, well, your bigger one there was much better than
but
mine.
I want that's what she said. Um don't know how that worked, but um anyway, was it I watched it actually on HBO. It's on HBO Max and could have watched it on my Blu-ray, but I was thinking might as well see it because it looks better, honestly, on HBO Max. It's 4K, I believe. It's in like higher definition, So
Okay.
but they have all the way up to uh the final chapter, which is I think Saw 3D,
Yeah.
which is very confusing because it goes Saw, Saw 2, Saw 3, Saw 3D, which is not the way it should, right? And then Saw 4, Saw 5, Saw 6.
It's because of that three being in there.
Yeah, it's because the 3 being in there is very confusing. So I was like looking at it going, why is there not Saw 4 right next to Saw 3? What's this in the middle? And it was Saw 3D, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess.
Well,
And then
I'm
that makes
go
it sound like it goes from Saw 3, and then there's a 3D version of Saw 3, you know.
Yeah, I could see where if somebody was interested in watching them for Halloween or something, that it would be confusing.
Yeah,
They would have to know. They should have just called it
the
since
final
I'm
chapter.
assuming, yeah, I'm guessing it's dot 3D on HBO. So yeah, just call it the final chapter and put it at the very end.
Yep.
Uh I think because I'm going to Zia Records and I've thought about this for a little while since I got this because since all the movies are on like it's 3 discs and they hold all of them, there's no special features, there's no nothing. I thought of picking up the DVDs because they have those cool slip cases
Mm-hmm.
that reveal something like a little more violent when you pull them off, and they're normally a double disc. So they stopped that with Saw 3D.
Mm-hmm.
That's what actually made me get a Blu-ray player was because I you couldn't get the unrated version or it in 3D unless you bought the Blu-ray. But now I'm thinking of going back and actually picking up like Saw 1 through 5 on DVD just to get all the special features because that's where all my knowledge comes from are from those audio commentaries and behind the scenes.
Well, okay, so in this one, um, it doesn't call it Saw 3D, it calls it Saw the final chapter. So, um,
Yeah, mine also calls it the final chapter. It's
yeah.
on yeah, it's
So it doesn't call it 3D because it doesn't give me 3D glasses and, you know,
no, that's you have to get the actual Blu-ray just of the movie by itself. And
yeah.
then it is in 3D because that's how I originally bought it. And then when I got this, I sold all of them because I figured, oh, I got them all in one big collection. And then that's when Spiral came around and Jigsaw and stuff. So I got those separately. But now I'm thinking like, fuck, maybe I should have held on to those. And I know because everybody buys them on Blu-ray, those DVDs are probably really cheap because there's always
Uh,
when I
yeah.
go in, there's like an entire shelf of Saw. Like there's an entire shelf of like paranormal activity or Star Trek or Star Wars. There's always this entire shelf of DVDs that nobody wants.
Does it
So I
come
thought
with the glasses or do you have to have Blu-ray? Like, do you have to have the Blu-ray
I
glasses?
think you have to have the glasses because if you have the 3D TV, the 3D TV comes with the glasses.
Yeah, I
And
don't
they're
have a 3D TV.
see mine's I have 3D,
Do you?
but I never watch the 3Ds. I don't
Wait,
if it's part
you don't have a 4K player or 4K TV though?
no.
No. Okay.
I think I only have 3 movies that are 4K, but that's because the Blu-rays
Come
with
with it.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
And
the
so
regular
when
Blu-ray.
you've already starting your 4K collection before you actually get a 4K upgrade at some point.
In a way, I think I actually purchased maybe 3 or 4 4Ks, but that's because they had the Blu-ray. But I knew, okay, great, they're 4K, I could use them later. But then all my Scream Factory stuff, there's a lot of 4K in there.
Okay. So there you go. And you
Yeah,
got a bunch of 4K Scream Factory ones, which is good
yeah.
because they have some really good, 4Ks, honestly. I need to get some more of those because there's a couple like the Fog I want to get, I'm sure you got that when, I would hope that you got that for 4K when you got the
Yeah, I think I have that. I first bought it as DVD, and then I think I have the Scream Factory regular, and then I think I have the Scream Factory 4K.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a classic. It's my favorite John Carpenter.
I definitely made sure not to get the remake. So
Do they have the remake on Scream Factory?
no, but I wanted to be like as I'm going through all my movies, like let's make sure I didn't accidentally put the remake of that I picked up the remake of The Fog by mistake or something.
Whoops.
God, that's awful.
Yeah, I've heard really bad things about it.
It is so bad. It is one of the worst. It really is one of those ones where you can't believe that the studio okayed it. Like I
Well,
don't get it. How could you okay this?
maybe it was the studio's fault. Maybe the studio was the one who told them to do it like that. I don't know. I never watched it. I do not really. I'm
It's
not that interested in seeing it.
it's so bad. It's so
Unless I
bad.
make a podcast at some point about remakes, because there's so many you could do. Like there's so many, and you don't have to stick with horror, you could do remakes of everything because remakes have been like since the beginning of time, So, I mean, how many of like His Girl Friday type movies, or whatever,
Well, and that's the good thing about Saw is you don't have to have remakes. You just
Right.
continue the story if it's Spiral or Jigsaw or Saw 10 where I'm thinking Saw 10 prompted Alien Romulus
Well,
that
here's what,
now because people don't want remakes. So they're like, well, fuck, what do we do? Let's do like like they did with Saw 10 and we'll just put it in between these two movies.
yeah, that's probably it. Um, what, so there's Spiral and or Jigsaw and there's Spiral and then Saw 10. So that means that was 8, 9, and 10. But like 8 and 9 aren't really in the same universe, are they?
They are.
They are. So
Yeah.
Spiral is still because I think they say something like Spiral, the story of Saul or something
Yeah, Spiral from the Book of Saw.
from the
And
Book of
and
Saul.
it's but it's yeah, oh yeah, they mentioned John Kramer and yeah, it's in the same world. It's just in a precinct, like a corrupt precinct that has white cops, black cops, Hispanic cops, Asian. I mean, it's a just a kind of corrupt LA precinct,
Precinct. Yeah.
but it is still within the world of John Kramer.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're all connected, and I heard Saw 12 takes place after or Saw 11 takes place after Saw 10.
Oh,
So they're still doing in between the two original Saw movies,
nice. Well, there
which
you
is,
go.
I guess, a good way of keeping John Kramer, and Amanda in it.
Well, I kind of wish, because I think I told you the story, but I was in Burbank and at Priscilla's, one of my favorite like restaurants to go to. And I saw Wet Movie 1 and his buddy Aaron, and I was chatting with them and they're like, that guy looks like Tobin Bell. And I was like, oh, cool. I was like, I wonder if he is, and they were like wondering if they should go up and ask. And we never did. We never bothered that poor man, whoever he was, whether or not he
No,
was
that's you just
Tobin.
stand there and just go, Tobin Bell, and then you look away. Oh, look at that, look down, and then you kind of look back to see if he turned to like look at you, and
I don't know, but we didn't bother him. And I kind of wish because I mean, what harm would it have done? Like he might have yelled at me and said, "Dude, I'm trying to drink my coffee here. Leave me alone." Right? I don't know. That's sorry. Well, sorry, but some people like to be sort of, noticed. Like because that makes people, realize, oh shit, there's a, you know. Like, oh wow, he's a celebrity. You know what I mean? Like Judd Apatow has said that you can go up to him and say, ask for a picture, with him or an autograph, and he'll give it to you like no problem because he knows it pisses off his wife, is what he said. So he's
That's
out at
funny.
dinner, like, like it pisses off his wife, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so famous," right? But then he hates it if you go up and ask for like, a job, or can you like it's that scene in the Disaster Artist that Judd Apatow was in, where the guy's like bothering the guy and say, "Could you, put me in your movie? I'm a good actor." Whatever. That's not how it works. You know, you know how it works for Judd Apatow at least. You get cast in one of his movies and then work your way up as a writer, like Seth Rogen did, or whatever. That's how you get to be a writer with or Jason Segel. If you notice that, like most of the people he writes, who works with that wrote, most of them were actors that worked with him and he liked, you
Well,
know.
yeah, I mean, you start with him, you start off on the TV shows like Freaks and Geeks and Undeclared,
Undeclared.
and and even though you're a main character in Freaks and Geeks, that doesn't mean that you're going to be a main character in 40-Year-Old Virgin. You're going to be one of the guys that works at the
At
wannabe
Caltech
Radio
or Cal,
Shack.
yeah, it's the Cal. No, it's not Caltech. That's the place that was a real
What
place that
it's a
Big
wannabe
Bang Theory.
Radio Shack type place,
Yeah,
and then you move up from there. You get the great scene with Paul Rudd, who we kind of know at that time, where they're playing the video games, calling each other gay back and forth, which is hilarious.
yeah, it's
And then you
hilarious.
you move up from there, and
Well,
that's you know
then your
that's
star knocked up the next year.
yeah. I mean, Jonah Hill wasn't part of the group. He started. I think 40-Year-Old Virgin was his first film that he
Yeah,
was.
he was the guy at the eBay store. Can I buy these?
Yeah. Well, no, I have to put them up, and you have to bid on them. But I'm right here.
He's like,
Which,
yeah, but I'm right here. I can
yeah.
sell, I can buy these from you.
Well, which he even mentions in This Is the End. He goes like, "I know I'm like the newest guy," something
Right.
like that. But
Because all those guys have been together since like Freaks and Geeks or Undeclared.
yeah,
So like even Jay was in Undeclared, but she did a fantastic job in that.
good.
That
Yeah, it's a
show.
great show.
Oh yeah, it it's so funny that those shows kind of only last like one season because, I'm like, if they were not on if they I just and then sadly, well, maybe Judd Apatow will be able to work again soon because Hollywood is shifting again. They're going back a little bit. So maybe some of those shows that or movies that he wanted to do will be okay. They'll be okay to, you know, do. But right now he's not he has
Um,
said publicly that he can't do he can't get any of his movies made, because nobody wants his
and
type of
and
humor anymore.
and it is shifting. Hollywood is shifting. The Acolyte has officially been canceled. It was
Mm-hmm.
announced, and as much as Kathleen Kennedy tried to push for it, Bob Iger said no.
Mm-hmm.
That show cost $180 million.
Should not
They've
have
already
cost that
said
much.
no. They've already said you could make like eight like Godzilla, was it Godzilla Zero or Zero
Yeah.
Godzilla, out of that.
-0, yeah.
-0. Yeah, you can make like eight of those out of that budget. And it didn't show at all. I mean, it was just and even with Kevin Feige saying, well, it didn't work, which means that he didn't even feel that way. He was just like, okay, well, let's see if this whole woke thing works. Well, it bombed, so we'll release what we got, and then because of Deadpool and Wolverine, we're gonna have to get back on track with the stuff that people want. So he didn't even believe in what he was saying. That
Hmm.
was all money and a gimmick. And
Yeah, I
and
mean, you're pretty much telling me that you thought he was in on the whole thing or whatever, and I didn't think so. I thought he
to
was.
to a degree, I think he was. I mean, if he's telling everybody that over 50% of the Marvel universe are all going to be female, then I think, yeah, he was part of it. But I think probably by the end, the Marvels and stuff, it was like, fuck. Yeah,
Well, and even
this isn't working.
Chris Hemsworth has said he won't come back to play Thor unless like they get rid of the way that Thor's been treated, you know? They go
Which means you
back to
got to
how
get
he
rid of
was.
that director.
Well, yeah, he's already been fired. That dude's not coming back. Tatia, he might his character Korg or whatever might come back, but him as a director is gone, you know. And then probably honestly he probably won't come back as Korg because if he, I think he'd probably be embarrassed to like come back, and not be directing. You know what I mean? Like that'd be just sort of.
They just need to make stuff that people want to see. That's why I'm a little nervous about the Alien Earth because it is Hulu, it is Disney. So we'll see how that goes. But to shift back to why we are here, do you think Saw could work as a TV series?
Um, I mean, if The Purge worked as a TV series, I mean, or whatever it did, as they made a TV series out of The Purge, uh, I it would have to be, I mean, an MA series. Like it would have to be, um, done on like HBO or something, or one of
Like
those.
each episode is one trap, and the cops are trying to find the person who's doing it. Like you continue it from the movies. You don't start from scratch. You continue it, so you could still
Most
do the
likely, like if
the
they,
occasional flashback.
I don't know, yeah. I mean, as long as they
I mean, The
didn't.
Purge was easy because you could just each season is one night.
Hmm.
So that's a little easier, I think, or like leading up to that night. But Saw, I think you could do a trap per episode. You have the detectives working on it. Occasionally, you get Tobin Bell back to do a flashback, like every couple episodes. You know,
Yeah.
I think you could do something with it. You just have to be creative with the traps.
Hmm. I agree.
Yeah,
That'd be
I think
interesting.
it could work. Who else died in this one? So we got your guy there in the picture,
Yeah, but he died from the barbed wire,
barbed
and he,
wire. Yeah, so we kind of got two traps. The woman and her husband
a woman and her husband. Yep.
who had the spears coming
I
out
thought.
of
Wait, I thought
them.
the woman survived.
She did, yeah, because she pulled them out. So
Right.
I guess I should say what were the
That
other traps, not who died.
well, because the
Uh,
husband died, but the wife didn't. And then the lady with the hair being pulled.
yeah,
Um, she died from Rig, which I always thought was funny because I was like thinking of Riggs, Riggs and Murtaugh, you
I
know.
believe it is taken from Lethal Weapon.
Really?
It they just
Okay.
dropped the S. Yeah,
Okay, yeah. And also wasn't Riggs Mel Gibson's character? So they
yeah.
they made
Murtaugh was Danny Glover. Yeah.
yeah, so it's kind of they changed it a little bit, but that was kind of cool. Um anyway, so then there's so what is it? What else are the traps? I'm trying to think of like
Um,
I mean the people in the beginning that we don't even know what the trap is, they're just kind of pulling each other and stuff or whatever, with their eyes one eye shut, the eye shut and the mouth shut and stuff. Those people.
yeah. Oh
Um
well. Of course, yeah. Donnie Wahlberg with the being chained up and being on the ice. We got that. Well, what do you
also
think about the two ice pieces coming down? I guess he won't be coming
oh
back for part
God,
five.
yeah. Who was that guy who got like his head chopped off? Who was that character?
Who got his head cut off?
Yeah, well, I mean the thing right on his head at
That was
the
Donnie
end.
Wahlberg.
Was that Donnie Wahlberg?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Uh,
Because they Wahlberg's character kind of notices it is that he looks up, and then the lawyer looks up, and he follows the rope, and it goes all the way down to the door. And so
mhm.
that's why they're like, "Uh-oh, we hope he doesn't come through that door." Because when he opens the door, it undoes the rope, and that's what
Okay,
slammed the
so
two ice
I didn't
pieces.
recognize Donnie Wahlberg because of they had him have like a beard or whatever, and it just
Yeah,
didn't,
beard, longer hair.
yeah, longer hair. I just couldn't recognize who it was. Um, I think they kept mentioning his character name, and I just totally forgot what.
Well, name, they show his picture a bunch of times. They have his driver's
But
license.
yeah,
They got
he, like you were saying earlier, like what did he do to deserve all this shit? And um, nothing. Just an asshole, I
no,
guess.
I
You
guess
know?
he just that's the thing also that I like about this series is people seem to come back. And I don't think it's for a paycheck because they
Yeah,
obviously don't have a lot of money. So they must really enjoy working with these people
yeah,
to just come back for a shot of you dead on the floor.
yeah.
And you're gonna, maybe you're flying from like another state and you're
Right.
just to be on the floor dead just because you
Yeah.
want it to be authentic
Yep.
instead of it just being like a dummy
I mean,
or a stunt person.
they could have just found somebody, some other character, and made a new character that had some kind of story or whatever. But then they just had him, and they had the one guy. Was he the lawyer? Was he what was he? The guy with the thing on his neck and everything.
That was the lawyer, and
Art.
he gets shot in the head. Yeah.
Yeah.
Riggs shoots him in the head because he thinks he's pulling a gun out
Right, but
when
he's
he's
pulling the
pulling
tape out.
the tape out. Yeah, the tape
Yeah.
recorder.
So he gets shot in
Well,
the
once
head.
again, being impulsive,
Right.
all the way up to the very end.
Well, all of that stuff wouldn't have happened, and Donnie Wahlberg wouldn't have died had he not went through the door, or whatever, and right before I guess right before the time went out,
Yeah,
and
like only a few seconds. This was
only a
they
few
were just they were
seconds
counting it down.
they would have even the lawyer told the guy, dude, just wait, just wait this out. You can shoot yourself now, or you can or you can just wait and survive, because this guy's gonna pass the test. No, he didn't. He's a fucking idiot,
Well, and Hoffman would have walked away anyways.
Right.
He walked away because the guy failed the test, and then if he waited and everything kind of shut down, and then he went through the door, he would have looked like a victim, and that he survived.
Yeah. It's kind of funny they do the jigsaw at the end uh of one thing where Hoffman gets off the thing and then walks past Rig, and kind of looks at him. Like it looked like the scene where, John gets up and just stares and he's
Right.
like, "Oh my God, you've been here this, you were there the whole time. You could have, like it had that look to it again. So I thought that was pretty
Well,
cool.
I mean, even Amanda did the game over thing,
Yeah.
with Wahlberg's character, and now Hoffman did it. But while watching it this time, is that I did notice that there were kernels of the first movie, that in the writing, that I think that they kind of
Uh,
mimicked some things from the first film.
I would love to chat with those guys because like, doing the Saw movies and doing the collection movies and doing the Feast films. I mean, they've been sort of the people, in the horror industry, who have been sort of really, really rocking it, like Marcus and Patrick. I mean, hats off to you guys. I need to watch the collection movies. Maybe we'll do that eventually for the for Mainstream Monday at some point. I don't think I think I watched the first one and couldn't get into it because wasn't it a home invasion or was it not?
I
Well,
mean, it's a killer in the house.
yeah, yeah, and I just kind of got bored.
The
Uh,
second one is bigger. They're making a third one, or that they're finally doing the collected. It's
okay,
finally
cool.
happening. That's been in like production hell for like 10 years or whatever. So
Well, I looked up Patrick Melton's uh, upcoming projects, and stuff, and I forgot he did the scary stories to tell in the dark, which I actually liked. He's got they're doing Blacklight, which I don't know what that is, but it's apparently there was a novel. These are what's in development. But Waterproof, um, that's a thriller, so I'm guessing something to do with water. Like that would be my hope. The Stuff of Legend, Outliers, Hurt, Blood, Naked Fury, The Way of Kings, The Reckoning, Rise, Reach Your Stay. Oh, that sounds good. I like that. Reach Your Stay sounds like an Airbnb thriller, you know. Follow the Leader, and an Untitled Christmas Horror Project. So they've got like they've written four, not four. They've written like 10 or more projects that are just right now in development. And that's freaking awesome. Like I really hope they keep going and that we keep seeing all these original content coming from them and fun projects that like I've never like that I'm excited for because I like these guys and I think they're very very talented. Sad that they didn't really write many of the uh, what is it? Saw movies after what was it? Saw. Um,
I think they
I
go
guess
up to
they
six. No, I
no
think they go up to
seven.
seven.
They go up to seven, and then I guess after when Spiral and Jigsaw got made, they left. The project, but I guess I mean they're busy with a million other things now anyway, so good for
Well, I
them.
think I think like Jigsaw and Spiral were pitches. I know Spiral was.
Yeah, that was as you said, that was Chris Rock just
Yeah, that
saying,
that he
"Hey,
went to them saying, I want to make, I have an idea for a Saw movie. So maybe, but I don't think Saw 10 was. I think that was in-house.
what do you think of people like Chris Rock or John Krasinski or Jordan Peele or all these, kind of, well, and then later on there's Danny McBride, but all of
Why
these,
do you say it like that? Danny McBride is great.
when he's not doing Halloween movies,
Well,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm
are you
saying
just
he's
talking
great at
talking about
comedy. I'm talking
comedy guys
about
doing horror?
yes, and Jordan Peele, like Key and Peele and all these guys had great comedy stuff, and then they're going off and doing horror. I like that. I think that's pretty neat, especially if they are really good at it. I don't necessarily think Danny McBride is very good at
No, I think some people are good. This isn't horror, but I was hoping that with like Green Hornet and Seth Rogen that we were going to have another Michael Keaton and Batman. I was really hoping that my because Green Hornet's my favorite out of every comic book hero out there. I think Green Hornet's the best because there's even a
but you
connection to
didn't
like the
like
Lone
the
Ranger and stuff. So
but you didn't
it's
like the Seth Rogen Green Hornet.
no, it was horrible. Everything in it could have been really good if he wasn't in it. And as we know, they even made a joke about that, and this is the end. But it's I really thought that, because there was a petition to not have Michael Keaton play Batman because everybody went, we don't want Beetlejuice in this. So there was actually a petition to not have him play Batman. Um, funny, like, why the fuck would Beetlejuice play Batman? And now he's still my favorite Batman. So I was hoping Seth Rogen would be the same thing. Like, okay, we got a good director, and the car looks great, and Kato looks great, and wow, they really got this down. And then Seth Rogen just played a pot smoking, drinking Seth Rogen. That's all he did. He just played the same guy from every movie, and he's not the Green Hornet. He fucked it all up.
Well,
So
do you think
I
Kevin Smith would have wrote a good Green Hornet? Because like he was talking about that how he was going to be writing the Green Hornet at one point, and then he realized how hard it was to actually write a action comic book action be a movie, or whatever. You know what I mean?
maybe yeah.
But he probably, I mean, might have cast Seth Rogen, but I don't think he would have. I think he would have
I
probably
mean,
been
when
smarter.
Joe Dante was involved, I like that. When it was Bruce Lee, I mean, when it was Brandon Lee as Kato, I like that. I liked it when Bruce Campbell was going to be Green Hornet. I like that. And it didn't bother me that much with Seth Rogen because, like I said, I was hoping for Michael Keaton, but it just didn't. It
It
just
didn't work.
sucked. It was just awful. So, and you would think that maybe comedians might do a good job at this stuff because the reason why a lot of these people are comedians is because they're like tortured souls.
Mm.
They get up there and make people laugh because they're depressed. I mean, Robin Williams took his own life because look how
Badly.
funny he was. I mean, it's a lot of these people you find out are very depressed, and that's the way they cope with their
And
depression
their
is
depression goes also into darkness. And sometimes they can write darkness very well. Why did my
like what you just went into.
Yeah, what the hell happened to that?
That was
I
good
don't
timing.
yeah, I didn't mean to do that, but I don't
So
know
yes,
why. No.
I think that it depends. I think that yeah, the Halloween movies were a massive mistake, but then Danny McBride I thought was great in Alien Covenant, and they even got
Mhm.
James Franco in there for
But
a couple
he didn't
scenes.
write it though. Like,
No,
being
no,
in horror is different
but he
than
could
writing
have
horror.
no, but he could have just been Danny McBride, and he wasn't. He
Right.
he he was Danny McBride, but he was also a character.
I mean, like that's like saying if he had played like the Dr. Loomis type role that was in Halloween 2018, he could have done that. He could have played that role. He would have probably been he would probably been decent, you know. He didn't, but he could have probably done that. I just I mm, I just
But
as
I
a
thought, but Chris Rock did a good job with Spiral. I thought
Yeah,
that Spiral was fine. I just
Jordan Peele did great with Get Out and Us and I forgot the newest one. It just
oh
completely
nope.
nope. Um
Yeah, with me he's 3 for 3. So I
Yeah,
liked Nope.
I think he's a fantastic horror guy, but he also I know he's a lover of horror. I know David Gordon Green has said he's a lover of horror, but
No, prove that.
what?
Prove that.
I know he screwed up Halloween and then he tried to screw up The Exorcist, but at least he's not coming back for that one and they got Mike Flanagan who's a better choice, you know. Yeah. So anyway, okay, well, you tell us how much this movie made.
So its budget was 10 million and
Nice.
it made 139.4 million.
So it made $129.4 million profit.
Yeah, but up to this point though, um it was so Saw was like 103. So this is million, but I'm just going to give the first three numbers. So like
Mhm.
103, Saw 2 was like 148, Saw 3 was even more, 140, 164, and then Saw 4 did 139.
Is this the start of a decline?
Saw 5 is 113.
Yeah. That is a decline. Which is interesting because I think after about three movies it's usually a trilogy, right? So usually people just give up and then when they see more, like I guarantee you I don't know. I can't guarantee you anything because Friday the 13th Part 4 probably still did really well because they kept making Friday the 13th movies after that, Like each one made a good profit. You know what I mean? But did Friday the 13th Part 4, let me see. Friday the 13th Part 4 do better than
But I
Part
think
3?
in these cases that they're so low budget that they don't have to make like $1 billion, as long as
Right.
they're doubling or tripling their budget. So for Saw 11, that Kevin like Grutert, or however you say his name, the editor, he's back as director, and Marcus Dustin is he started writing the script in 2023
For what?
for Saw 11.
Oh, so they're back?
Yeah,
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
good. Happy about that.
Yeah, it comes out next year, September 26th. So I guess they're expecting it to be big because then it'll play over into October.
So let's see, what did um so was part three okay, well, um so yeah, so part three of um was a Friday the 13th part three made about $36 million in the box office and on a like a 2 million, $2.5 million budget. And then Friday the 13th Final Chapter is a $2.6 million budget and made $32 million, so less. So I feel like after the third one, some of those go down because people are getting sick of a franchise, like they're getting whether there's superhero fatigue, maybe there's horror villain fatigue, and stuff, but they kept making enough money, like you said, because it's so low budget. They're still making a $30 million profit that they're just like, let's keep, pumping these out. Because I guarantee you, like 30 million in the 80s was probably at least 70 to 80 million dollars, today, you know, with inflation and all that.
Yeah, and some people they like the first three because of who's in it. In these ones, I've heard complaints that people don't like Hoffman. People don't like the other cop. They look similar to each other. Why would
Kinda.
you? Yeah, and so there's you're losing out on Amanda and stuff. So you're kind of taking away things that we like that we associate with Saw. And we're bringing in these new characters that people don't like as much. I personally really like Hoffman, and I like the reason why Hoffman is there is because of Greg Hoffman, the producer, dying of cancer. So, kind of like as a tribute. So I
Mm,
like that. But yeah, I mean, but they were still making money until Paranormal Activity came out, and then that
right.
they got into number two, the number two spot, and they're like, okay, we're done. So they made
Yeah.
one more, and then that which
Yeah.
would have been the final chapter, and then they called it quits for a while.
Yeah, you were telling me about that because
Yeah,
Paranormal Activity was fighting with them, which another franchise that sort of kept going, or
yeah.
whatever.
Well, then the same thing happened. I would have to look to see what came out at the same time, but the same thing happened, right? Money, 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 and then the slow decline, but they were still on an okay budget. And then another franchise comes out, and that just knocks them out of the number one or number two spot. And then they're like, okay, now we're done.
I
And then
want
they,
Final Destination to come back out. Like I know they're working on a new one, Final Destination 6, kind of thing, and I want another one of those because it's been too long in my opinion, you know. We need more of those because those were fun.
yeah, I definitely see that.
Yeah. Um I know like Jeffrey Reddick was working on that, and we've done the Final Destination movies for,
Yeah.
we even got to chat with Jeffrey Reddick, you know.
And,
Um,
and and gave my theory on why the lead actor didn't come back for part two, and he pretty much confirmed it without saying so.
right. That was pretty cool. I really did like that. I posted that like was it a couple of years ago or whatever, like when we did it, And when I saw that as a memory, I was like, I gotta post this because that's pretty cool. It's pretty neat to see that we're able to sometimes to chat with the creators, and
Yeah.
stuff, and they can tell us, like the guy who did the Evil Dead special effects and stuff, like, Tom Sullivan, like chatting with him about just bullshit, and stuff about the movie, or whatever, and getting information we never knew because, so
Yeah,
anywho,
no, it's nice because I had my own for the one filmmaker, which was the writer of Jeepers Creepers Reborn.
mhm,
And
who
I
I
think I might
suggested to you.
you did. Thank you. And I so because of our conversation and seeing behind the scenes stuff, and learning about the movie and the troubled history that it had because of COVID and stuff, I think I might be the only person in the world that likes that movie.
But
So
did you like it before you chatted with him or after he told you all that stuff?
I watched it and I thought it was okay. I mean, I knew people who didn't like it, but I thought it was okay. But I think once you realize the problems and everything, I kind of liked it a little bit more because I could be like, yeah, okay, I could see that. You know, that effect isn't going to be perfect because of the circumstances. But I think I did enjoy it because I liked part two's the best, then one. No, I don't think a lot of people like three, but I liked three. And then I liked Reborn also. But yeah, I think I liked it before we spoke, but I liked it more after we spoke.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I think that
we
what
need to get somebody from Saw on here.
yeah, I wish. If I run into Costas again, I'll say, "Hey, you want to come on our show and talk about Hoffman?" You know. This was I mean, I met him before I watched Saw movies. I didn't really, like I wasn't. I think I'd seen a few things he had done, you know, but I wasn't like, you know. But he was like, yeah, hey, let's get a picture, that kind of thing. And his manager, like for appearances, his appearance agent is a friend of mine. So like, it kind of helps, but he's still one of those guys that like, wouldn't tell me, yeah, you can get a, you know what I mean? Like whatever. It's just easier when the guy's like, yeah, sure, and my agent won't care, kind of thing. So it was neat. I liked him. I liked meeting him, and I love meeting Kim Coates from Waterworld and Sons of Anarchy and a bunch of other things, you know. So it's neat to go out and go to these horror conventions and meet the celebrities that you love, and stuff and want to support and whatnot, and then, get fun pictures with them and everything, you know.
Sure.
So, anyway, that about wraps it up today. So next in 2 weeks or so or whatever, we will be doing Saul 5 and then Saul 6 for the month of September. So we'll have two more coming up and then two more in October and then two more in November. Does that end it? It's like what? 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10. And then I don't know if we're just gonna, wrap it up then, for the season. I think that might be good, and then come back in the next year and do some more stuff. Or we might, I don't know, when's Saul 11 coming out? That's next year.
September of next year.
Yeah, so we'll have to get through, all of next year of things up until then, and we can do Saw 11, because we'll already have done all 10 of the Sauls up to
There
then.
you go.
There you go. So yeah, so check out John Ward's page, Dark Park Films, that's on YouTube. I'll leave a link at the bottom so you guys can
Thank you.
check that out. And also keep checking back. There will be more videos coming up. Though if you can't tell, I've been coughing and I think I'm getting a little sick. So this sucks. But it shall pass, hopefully. So, but that might affect doing a few more videos because I may want some more rest this weekend, you know. Um, but anyway, hope everybody has a good night and we will chat later. All right, bye.
Bye. Bye.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Hold on a second. Hold on.